Hello, welcome back to my channel. So I am doing a sort of a weekly update, combined with the Boxall's 1001 Books You Must Read Before You Die list progress, and kind of my plans for that reading project and its accompanying project that I'm also trying to read the Guardian's 1000 novels list. So I follow a few people that are reading one or maybe both of those lists, mostly Boxall's. And I've gotten some ideas of how I'm going to approach that this year. So I'll talk a bit about that. And I'll show you guys the books I brought home today. I got a few books. Yes, it is a full Walmart bag of books. A lot of them need repairing, so I'm poking at getting into book repair as a hobby. I don't know much about it. I used to do printmaking, so I have experience with paper crafts from printmaking. And I did a little bit of paper making and bookmaking then. But I read the Kate Carlisle murder mystery series about book binding, book repair. I think I'm done with that series. I'm not that into the characters. They get more irritating every book. But my takeaway from reading that series is that I could probably do book repair and book binding. I do have at least some of the skills already. I just haven't done it that direction. So, you want to say hi to a kitten while he's on my lap? He says hi. He says hi, my kitten. These guys are going away in probably 2 or 3 days, depending on the weather. So, say hi, Silas. Bye, Silas. Oh, gosh. Oh, no. You're so cute. Go that way. Okay. So I rescued some books today from the bookstore where I've been working as a volunteer the last 2 months, that have been languishing at the bookstore. A lot of them need repairs. They're going to do this thing of selling books for art projects from, the stacks and stacks of old books that are not sellable, basically. So I rescued some that I think I could repair, and some of them I need to read anyway. So they're the kinds of books where if I don't repair them correctly, it's not a loss, because these were basically books that were going to be discarded anyway, either for art projects or just being recycled. So I can play with them and learn stuff about book repair and bookbinding. So that's exciting. The book in my thumbnail picture for this video is one that I picked up last shift, Gravity's Rainbow by Thomas Pynchon. And I got another Pynchon book today, so apparently Pynchon is one of those authors that I will be starting more properly. I hated Crying of Lot 49, so I don't know how this is going to go. But Gravity's Rainbow is on the Boxall's 1001 Books You Must Read Before You Die list, as is V, which is at the bottom of this sack. So I'll show you the rest of the books in this sack so I can get my book out. So this one is one that I might be learning how to make a cloth-covered book cover for. It's got the original art cover just kind of pasted onto this old library binding, cloth binding. I'm not sure what condition it's in once I poke at it more, but it's Little Women with that cover on it. And it looks like it has all its pages. So it's one that I can play with to make it pretty. This one will probably either go back to the bookstore or go to a little free library when I finish playing with it because it's in pretty decent condition. This one is The Egg and I by Betty McDonald. I know I got this on a list somewhere that I was supposed to read. It is not in good condition. The spine no longer has any legible text. It was embossed at some point, but you can kind of see it at an angle. That's about it. And I'm betting that it was supposed to have a dust jacket that it no longer has. It does still have the cute little rooster on the front cover panel. So this one I'm going to see if I can do a new spine for it and like take the old spine cloth and maybe like draw in the lettering or something. I don't know. But it's one that isn't in too bad a shape. The pages aren't literally falling out, but it needs some work. Longfellow's Poems is not actually in that bad of condition, but the end papers need replacing. They're cracked. That's not too hard. I think that's something where I could probably figure out how to do it correctly, like without too much extra research. So I'll look for some acid-free paper and give this book new end papers. Do I want to read Longfellow's Poems? I suppose. I'll probably read it when I need a book of poetry for a readathon. This one I'm probably going to use for an art project myself. It's an old reader. It's actually in good condition, but nobody wants them nowadays. And there were a lot of them. Lots and lots. This one is from Ohio. So, yeah, this one I'll probably use as kind of a smash book. Because it's got a really nice cover. It's, I think, leather. It feels leather. Which is weird for a reader, but I suppose it's lasted this long because it's good material. This one is the Modern Student's Library edition of The Return of the Native by Thomas Hardy, which I read already. This one's even been written in all over the place. Our bookstore doesn't usually sell books that have been written in a lot. So that's kind of a problem for it. Yeah, it is from 1917, so it is officially an antique. Over 100 years old. It's a little guy. There we go. Then we have... This one's one I do need to read, The Last of the Mohicans. And it's a little, pocketbook sort of edition. Hardbound. It has torn end papers, so that needs some repair. From the Reader's Library, 1921. So just a little over 100 years old, this little book. So I will finally get to read The Last of the Mohicans. This one is actually not in bad condition. It is Harold Robbins. Dream Merchants from 1949. And this one I will probably just read it and then put it in a little free library. It does not need repair. It just, nobody wanted it. So, That one can go in a little free library after I've read it to make sure it's actually good. It's probably good. Alright. Nicholas and Alexandra by... I should remember the name of this author because I picked it up because I recognized it. By Robert K. Massey. And this one is from 1967. So this one is not like an antique or anything. It has a library binding that is falling apart. The cover is anyway. It's already been glued and taped several times. So this one, if I want to play with repairing it, I can. It won't be any loss if I can't get it repaired. It's already missing part of its end paper map. So it's been repaired several times. But I've seen it listed as a book that one ought to read. So I will read it and then play with repairing it. This one, yeah, doesn't need that much repair. Yeah, I don't see anything really that needs to be fixed particularly. Maybe the end papers need to be reinforced in the creases. But this is Grimm's Fairy Tales. And it is probably intended to be read to children. It doesn't have any pictures. Doesn't have a lot of stories in it, but it has the classics. Hi. Yeah, you want to help? I see. This is a copy of Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. Let's see. Auf Deutsch. Ja. Mit einem Nachwort von Thomas Mann. So, the German edition of Anna Karenina. Nice. From one of those sets of books that you buy as a middle-class person to stick in your living room. But a German one. So this one should be fun. I might hold on to it and practice my German. I have read Anna Karenina a while ago, so I at least know what's going on, which helps when you're trying to read a big book in another language. I got a Zane Grey. This one's cover is not in any great condition. So this one I'll probably have a lot of fun making a new cover for. It is from... Oh, I hate Roman numerals. Anyway, it's in bad condition. Zane Grey, The Last Trail. So that one will be one I get to practice on. This one I was excited about because I want to see how they do it. It's a Goldsmith book with gilt edging, which is nice. Let's see if I can figure out more about it from the cover. Let's see. It is Poems, Plays, and Essays by Oliver Goldsmith, M.B., with critical dissertation of his poetry by John Aiken, M.D., and an introductory essay by Henry T. Tuckerman, Esquire. From New York, Thomas Y. Crowell and Company. Does it have a date? Why would it have a date? That would be too easy. But it's sufficiently old, and gilt-edged, and leather-bound with that padding that makes them squishy, which is what my copy of Alice in Wonderland that I got as my free book last week is bound like. So, see, it's shiny. Let's see if I can get it so it's actually shiny on screen. There we go. See the sheen. Goldsmith. So its cover is lovely. It's, worked leather. But it has been chewed by things, probably mice. It is in terrible condition around the edges. Let's see if I can get it. There we go. So yeah, it's not in great condition, but the pages look nice. The gilding is still there. This one should be fun. I don't know what I can do to repair some of this, but even if I have to be a bit creative with what the cover is, I also can learn about how those books are bound. So that's part of why that one got rescued. And I have Abbotsford and Newstead Abbey by Washington Irving. This one's in good condition. I think nobody was interested in it. It's not falling apart or anything. It has nice detailing on the back cover where it changes texture on the corners, and yeah, so it's in pretty decent condition. So this one I will probably find another home for when I'm done with it. It does not need my help. It's already fine. This is another one that's kind of a library binding. This one's a library binding but with art on it, which is fun. Yeah. Library binding. Like what our public libraries used to do all the time. This one might have been in a school library because it looks awfully familiar as that kind of book. This is Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. It's in good condition. It's just library-bound sort of book of the Modern Library of the World's Best Books edition. Which also means it might be not library. It might just be that's how they sold them. I don't know. But it's in good condition. It just wasn't wanted. Very sad. 1937 for this edition. So, yep. So that's fun. It's not quite 100 years, but it's vintage. And then we get down to the books at the bottom of the sack. This one's one that I was kind of excited about, with the caveat that I didn't enjoy the pension that I read so far. But the Reading 1001 group on Goodreads is going to be reading V as one of the seasonal reads, or quarterly reads. And I didn't own it, but now I do. So, obviously, Pension is one of my authors that I'm at least collecting this month or this year. We have Mason and Dixon at the bookstore too that is not getting a lot of love, and it's taking up a lot of space for where it's at. So that might come home with me. Maybe not next week, because next week I think I'm going to take home an Iris Murdoch omnibus book. But yeah, Pension is going to be one that I'm maybe going to get to cross off on both lists. That would be really nice. And let's see what else I got in my bag of books. I got a copy of James Michener's Iberia that has highlighting in it in the first couple chapters. We generally don't sell books that have highlighting in them. Don't know why exactly. They don't sell though, so that's probably it. Nobody buys books that have been highlighted already. And we don't have a very big store, so some of this is just making sure that the books don't overflow the store so that they're shoppable. And then I got Bernard Malamud, The Assistant. We also got The Fixer in. The Fixer won awards. Bernard Malamud won awards, but this book in particular did not. So it was published long enough ago, and he's not one of the authors that we already keep, even if they're old books. And the cover is starting to come apart on the spine. So this one was going to be recycled or put on the free shelf, but I rescued it. So I will get to read that one. And then my bag is empty. So yeah, that's the books that I've added to my collection today. Plus Gravity's Rainbow, which was a couple days ago. Yeah, so one of the things that I'm doing for the Boxall's 1001 Books You Must Read Before You Die list is inspired by Sandy at Ms. Reads a Lot and her project where she picked a random letter and she's reading the books from that letter of the alphabet in the Boxalls. And I like that idea. I was going to do the random letter, and I went to the trouble of actually pulling up a random letter generator, and and then I got assigned the M's at the bookstore. I'm just going to go with M because it's my job now to keep that section of the alphabet organized in the general adult fiction. So since that's my area anyway, I know what we have on the shelves, and when something comes in that I need to read, I can read it because I'm the one shelving them anyway. So I'm going to be focusing on the M's. I'm also just going to read what I already own, just on principle. So if I already have something here that's not an M, I'll read it if I feel like it. There's also a project in Reading 1001. It's called the TBR Takedown Game. I've mentioned it before because I didn't do very well in it last year. It's one where you read the book that was selected by the random number generator, basically, and get extra points for it. And if you miss a month, you go back to the beginning and start over. I know I'm explaining it very badly. So this month, out of my list of 24 books, which we set in stone at the beginning of the year, the number that was selected for this month, I think it was 4. In any case, it was the one that corresponded with Ficciones by Borges. So I'm reading that. I actually have a collection that includes Ficciones along with other collections. So I only have to read that one part for the Boxall's reading game, but I'll read the rest of the book. I might as well. So if I keep reading the book that was selected every month, the first couple months, it's just, minimal extra points. Come on. And then after that, the next couple months you get like 200 points instead of 100 points for the book. And then if you keep going, then a couple months later it goes up to 300 points and then 400 points and so on. Only if you keep going. If you miss a month, you bump down to the 100s and start over. So it's kind of a challenging reading game. I've completed it a couple years, but not last year. And I don't think I completed it the year before that either. But it's, I always live in hope that this year will be different. It might. So that's also where the number comes from for the other reading challenge that's number generated. This year it's nonfiction. And I went over that in a previous video. So that's kind of where I'm at. As far as reading, that stuff. I've completed a few more books since my last update, but not a lot in print. Really not a lot in print. I got to a point with the Alexander McCall Smith books where they're yellow covers enough that they count as yellow books for next month. And they're murder mysteries. So I'm saving them for next month. I got through all but the 2024 book of the Louise Penny series. So I'm on hold for the 2024 book. And eventually I will get it, and then I'll listen to it, and then I'll be caught up. But since I'm still waiting for that book, that's as far as I can get with it. The Mrs. Jeffries series, I ran out of checkouts on Hoopla. So I'm going to have to wait till next month on that one, because the next books are not on Libby, just on Hoopla. Lovely. And I only have a couple of them in print. That's one where I'll be watching for them at the bookstore as well, because they tend to be falling apart. They're ones that the books weren't made very well, so they tend to fall apart after a few decades. So I can rescue them and read them and then let them fall apart. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm going to do a video separate from this about crochet, because I've been watching some folks doing knit or crochet where they kind of challenge themselves to use their stash and to make things out of their stash. And I kind of feel like I need to do that, because the people I live with and I, the three of us, need to probably be ready to move in about a year and a half. And I have a huge yarn stash and a huge book stash, but books, they stack up in liquor boxes really nicely, so you can move a lot of books really easily. And with a dolly and liquor boxes, they're not that hard. They're square, and squarish, rectangular. Yarn, and it's lightweight, that's nice. But if you store it for very long and moths get into it, then if it's natural fibers, it gets eaten and then it's not yarn anymore. That kind of thing. With books too, but they're a little bit sturdier than the yarn, at least as far as my experience with it. So anyway, both things, books and yarn, I need to use things up so that I don't have to move as much. So I'm going to do a bit of a challenge of seeing how much I can finish crocheting this year. So at the end of this month, I'm going to show off everything that I made. And, just basically progress of what I've used. And whether I bought more yarn for the things that I finished or not. I'm not going to be super anal about whether I buy more yarn any more than I'm going to be super anal about whether I acquire more books. The point is to use what I've got, and preferably to use it up faster than I get more. But if I come across a really good deal, I'm going to go for it. Most of my yarn was yarn given to me when people were destashing. And I don't mind that at all. I'm quite comfortable having a large stash. I just don't want it to get eaten by moths before I use it. So, So that's kind of what I'm up to. I will do crochet stuff videos soonish. It is already the 25th of January, so sometime in the next few days, you guys will get the end of the month and the crochet update. And hopefully I'll finish the Borges book so that I can check off a book from the Boxall's list. And I have finished 460 of the books off of the combined Boxall 1001 Books You Must Read Before You Die list, which is 1,300 and something books when you combine all 5 lists. So that's my starting number. I don't know if I have editing software where I could do the thing that Sandy does, where she puts the numbers on the screen and changes them. I think right now I don't have that capacity. I certainly don't know how to do it if I have the software for it. So Maybe I'll get, like, make a little flip thingy that shows numbers, then flip the numbers. That could be fun. But I do like how she counts down the books that she's read. And, so, inspiring, anyway. But yeah, I've finished 460 so far. I don't know what that is, like, what's left. But for the next video, I will do the math and know how many books I have left to finish off that list. And I'll probably do the same for the Guardian 1000 novels list, which is, that list is a little misleading because the Discworld books are one item. The Discworld series is 41 or 42 things, including children's books, novellas, and full-length novels. So there's a few others, like the Rabbit series by Updike is also listed as one item on the Guardian list, and 3 of the 4 books, I think, 2 or 3, several of the books, but not in any order that makes sense, are on the Boxall list. So it's not like the number is going to be the number of actual books necessarily. If it's a series, you read the series, not just the one that's listed. Anyway. But yeah, I'll let you guys go and I'm going to get back to reading. And yeah, let me know if you have any book binding projects, book repair projects. If you're reading the Boxall list, how you're doing, how you're approaching that this year. Whatever. Questions, comments, sharing, etc. And I will catch you in the next video. Let's see if I have a kitten. I do. I have the kitten again. Bye. Hey.